Off Script with Super E recommends listener discretion, as these real but sometimes uncensored stories can be filled with mature content.
Hey everybody, this is A Train and Super E, and this is Off Script with Super E. How you doing over there, Super E?
Doing pretty good, hanging in there.
Good. Well, hey, listen, we got a message from one of our listeners. They love to hear us laugh and think we're so funny, but they want to hear some darker, more gruesome stories of our time on the police department. And, okay, we're going to do what the listeners say. Isn't that right?
And so most of our listeners are psychopaths?
Yes. Okay, that's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Okay, a cold-blooded psychopath. Okay.
Yeah. So you got something in mind?
Oh, just real quick. I remember when I hit the street at the beginning of 85, me and you come from the same BG community, and, it was pretty sheltered. It was sheltered. It was like growing up in a super busy Mayberry. So
okay, yeah.
When I hit the streets, it was like I didn't know what to expect, and I'm right up in the hood, and I'll never forget this because they always said you'll be tested with something, and you got to just keep your feelings in and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Real quick, I remember I got a call of an accident and motorcycle involved. I race up there, whole crowd of people around, and I see a motorcycle laying on the ground, and I see a car that had careened off and had damage to the front end. Because what happened, the motorcyclist was heading eastbound on this main street, and this person just didn't pay attention. It just hit him, T-boned this poor motorcycle guy, threw him way up in the air, and I see the motorcyclist, and then I see him, he's screaming in agony. I look over, about 10 feet away is his ankle and foot, and I'm like, oh my God, remember, I'm 23 years old, I've never seen it. I'm like, oh my God, and then there was the tendon from his broken ankle to his foot was about 8 feet long, and everybody's screaming, "Look at Gonzalez! Look at his foot!" And I'm just holding the guy's hand because I don't want to look, but I can't take my eyes off it. Yeah. But I got to comfort this guy because he's screaming in pain. He's screaming, "Help me! Help me!" I don't have any morphine that I could inject into him immediately, so all I'm doing is holding his hand and not letting him look at his foot 10 feet away, and just saying, "Dude, ambulance going to be here." And I'm just doing my best to comfort him, talk to him, and keep him from going in shock. And that was like, holy shit, this is real out here. You go through the academy, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And that was just the eye opener, because then not too long after that, I get a run of George 82, take a very suspicious claim of possible suicide in progress by an unknown caller. And I'm like, what the fuck does this mean? Yeah. And so I head to the house, and fire department, they're pulling up behind me because they came out on a lot of runs. And all of a sudden I'm like, man, I smell kind of a gas leak smell. And then the fire department, they come out, and, they're sniffers, gas leak! And they got hatchets, and they're getting ready to hit the pipes, start blasting things with axes. Yeah. And I'm like, hold on, guys, hold on. So I just said, it was like, fuck it. I kick in that door because I know something's going on in there. And I kick in the door because I announce myself, emergency, I'm going in. I kick the door in, and the smell is overwhelming. Right. And so the house is dark. There's nobody in there. And I start going toward where the smell's getting worse at the end of the house. in the dark. I got my flashlight. I stumble upon something. I don't know what it is. It is big, grayish, white. It looks like a washed-up sea manatee.
Mm-hmm.
That is bloated from a whole diet of White Castles or something.
Yeah.
I mean, it is just full.
Right.
Well, it's not a manatee. It's a human being.
Yeah.
And the smell was awful. And I immediately get on the radio because, we had radios on our shoulders, little mine. And I said, Control, I've got a dead body here. Start homicide immediately. And you couldn't tell it was a human being. I mean, it was ready to explode.
Yes.
Yeah. And so then the smell is overwhelming me. As my first DOA that I ever had, because I hadn't been on very long. The smell is overwhelming me, and I'm thinking, I need to get out of here right now. I need fresh air.
Yeah.
I turn around, and who do I see? But big old Tark Tice. He was backing me up. He's standing there, filling up the doorway.
With his big head.
With his huge head, and I can't get out. I'm trying to get around him, and he gets on the radio, and he was Mr. Monotone Voice. His number was George 91, but he would always key in too early. You'd hear it was uncontrolled. And he's up there, uncontrolled, blah, 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 useless information. I'm going to keep Super E standing here smelling this shit forever. I had to physically move him out of the way.
Yeah. And
then I go outside, and the smell's on me so bad that as I walk outside, of course, it's 3 a.m, but everybody's, from in that neighborhood's out. And when I walk out, they won't know what's going on. They could smell the smell on me. They're like, oh, God!
Yeah.
And it was just horrible. So what we found out was some dude killed his soon-to-be ex-girlfriend, let's say in the beginning of July. And this was in the end of August.
Okay.
Killed her, left her there on the floor, and was coming back once a week and having sex with the corpse.
Oh, no.
And I guess what he did was he goes there and he then goes into whatever hospital and goes, I think I killed my girlfriend about a month and a half ago. And so that's where we got the call from, was the psych ward of the hospital. And so me and the homicide guy, he had me go with him. And he was an old crusty homicide vet. He goes down there, and they're being real evasive. They're like, no, we can't give you any information. But the information we're not giving you won't hurt your investigation. Well, you're not telling us who called, and we know that who called is the one who did it, blah, blah, blah. So who did it? We can't divulge that.
You're talking about the folks at the hospital?
Yes.
Okay, in the psych ward. Okay.
Yes.
So they couldn't release that information.
They were dummy. They were kind of dummying up. But the homicide investigator goes, oh, are you guys on third shift? And they go, yeah. What time do you guys get off work today? 7 a.m. It's after working 12 hours. And they're like, yeah, you're real tired. Yeah. Well, guess what? I'm ordering you into my office as soon as you got off tomorrow. And they're like, what information do you need? We want to know what happened. And boom, they gave him all the information. This dude came in, said he killed her. He's crazy, and had sex with her body.
Oh, my God.
And I was like, oh, my God.
Oh, man. Oh.
Yeah.
Listener, is that gruesome enough for you?
Yeah.
God dang.
Yeah, Jack the Ripper's out there.
So I never had it happen to me. I've had bloaters before, but I've heard stories where, when the coroner goes to take the body away, occasionally they'll pop.
Oh, my God.
And that's a real mess. Oh, God.
Yes, I can imagine. And then this was like heartbreakingly gruesome. Now I'm in like district level narcotics and vice, and I'm working with the Jim and Jim guys, the old crusty bastards. Right. And we're working on a Sunday morning, and it's like this time of year. It's a beautiful Sunday morning, and we're getting ready to I'm going to go make a buy around this area. It is a Shelby and Raymond area. And it's got a busy intersection, and it's got a store where people shop. So I'm going to make a buy in that area. Well, they're set up for surveillance. Then we're on this channel 2, just like Adam 12. Go to channel 2.
Go to channel 2.
Reed Malloy. So we're on channel 2, and I hear them talking. Hey, we're getting set up. We're set up. I'm over here. I'm over here. We can see the intersection. Then I hear one of them saying, look at that old 90-year-old woman leaving the store, pulling that little cart full of groceries. And other Jim goes, yeah, she looks like she's in her 90s, and somebody's making her do her own groceries and then roll the cart of groceries behind her. And they're talking about that. And then I hear this. I just hear the most grizzled Jim go, oh my God, they don't see her. And then I hear the other Jim go, they hit her. They just hit her. They didn't slow down.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, what? And I'm trying to get in the area where I'm supposed to be. I'm like, what is going on? And then I hear the other Jim go, maybe we can find the organs. And I'm thinking, is there some sort of accident with a piano track? What's going on?
Yeah.
So I get to the scene, and they go, no, there was this large garbage truck was barreling down the road, and it was going like 55, 60 miles an hour because the speed limit's like about 45 or 50. So he was going fast. This old woman just walked out in front of him. They didn't see her. They hit her so hard that both Jim says all it looked like was a big puff of red mist all over the place. And they said they could not find any traces of the old woman. They looked, they were scouring around trying to find any of her body parts. And they said, we can't find anything.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And I was like, that old woman lived her whole life, struggling, trying to raise a family. She's 90 some years old. And her last day on earth, she was hit by a giant garbage truck. That was like gruesome just to hear over the radio, and broke your heart for this old woman.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
And there was just nothing left of her.
There was just nothing. They said they saw her, she just exploded and turned into mist.
Oh man.
Yes.
Okay, we are not going to listen or take any advice from this listener ever again because I'm getting all bummed out.
Now, didn't you have something crazy? Something about a...
Well, I'll tell you what, there's a bunch of things that pop in my mind, but similar to this old lady, so it kind of connects. So when I was in homicide, I had a suicide. And when I got there to the apartment, I walked in, and the victim was on her bed, and she had a handgun in her hand, and her head was completely gone.
Oh my Jesus.
And I got over the initial shock of the scene, and then I just got to look, and I'm like, how did this handgun do this damage? Because it looked like a shotgun blast, that would have taken her head off. And so,
right.
I just, I was pretty perplexed by it. I'm like, is this a staged thing? But if somebody shot her with a shotgun, why would they put a handgun in her hand? I don't know. It just didn't look right. But so, we processed the scene. It was suspicious to me. But talk with the family. This lady was severely depressed. I think she was an alcoholic. Had talked about suicide and this and that in the past. But the next day at the autopsy, the pathologist, who was a very seasoned guy, and I really respected him. I mean, he was a very good pathologist. I just was talking. I was like, Doc, how could a handgun do this? And he was, it's like, Andy, absolutely. He goes, this, it has to do, and people don't, I didn't realize this, but he explained to me, a healthy person, their muscles and their skeletal system, it's all about the integrity of that. And, she was sick, she was an alcoholic, probably, wasn't the healthiest person. And, he said, yeah, the handgun did this. And it was a suicide. And I think also what people don't realize, it's not, because she had that gun up against her chin. So it's not just the bullet projectile that does the damage, but, when a gun's that close, those gases emitted when a gun's fired, they can be as damaging as the projectile. People don't realize, like a gun that's shooting blanks, like on a movie set. Yes. If you're too close to that when that gun's discharged, the gas coming out of that gun, that can kill you too. So it was just one of those things. I was just like, oh my gosh, this is a horrific. The damage that was done by this handgun was kind of unbelievable, And
you know what? In your mind, was you thinking, okay, this is staged? You're kind of going towards somebody staged this in the corner. It was like, no, this can happen.
Exactly. Yeah, initially my first impression was that this cannot be right, but it was. And so how that kind of ties in, I think, to the old lady is, she was old. Her muscles, her skeleton, her organs weren't real healthy. So trauma is going to, make those tissues do something different than if she was a healthy young person,
Exactly. So that's true.
Very similar. So that just kind of made me think of that one.
Yes.
So, oh God.
Now that we've got, this is the downer of the down. Episodes.
Oh man. But we're saying things how they are,
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. So, you know what? Let's just cut this one. Boom. The person got what they wanted to hear. And
let's cut it, and then let's go have a good cry.
Yeah, let's do that. All right.
All right, everybody. Come back, and even though we're going to listen to your requests, we're probably going to say something funny next time.
Yes.
All right. See ya. Bye.